but there are many others also. So to say there are 7 kinds in the Bible, well, I could probably divide it up some other way. You know, there are different kinds of punishment, and you overcomplicate things, and I don't think God intends that. For example, some people after this life will receive different kinds of eternal punishment. But on the other hand, all the eternal punishment is the same, just variations. So how much variation is there? Well, if you go read Dante's Inferno from the Middle Ages, which is the official doctrine of the Roman Church, it's just a bunch of malarkey made up, but he talks about the different kinds of punishment there, and he breaks it all down. Once you start to do those kind of things, it's been my observation, things get overcomplicated and people don't know anything. That's what it boils down to. I like John the Apostle, and it is John the Apostle that has had the leading influence in our tradition of religion, law, and government. It was the writings of John the Apostle that came to the English-speaking world first, from all we can tell. And because of that, that set the tone for everything. The stress, I should say. What we stress and what we don't stress. And that's not bad, because John the Apostle was the jury foreman of the 12-man jury, as it were, impaneled to witness the evidence of Jesus Christ. And his writings are the simplest of writings. And in his writings, everything is either up or down, in or out. You're either a saint or you ain't. You're either bound for heaven or hell. With John the Apostle, he never speculates in his 5 writings. He says this is the way it is, and the reason he's able to talk that way is because everything is it's either in or out, up or down, heaven or hell. And that's true, of course, but he doesn't he never overcomplicates it. He just says what he knows to be true and leaves it at that. And it is my experience that that's the only way to approach Christianity. And if you do it any other way, you're getting the cart before the horse. If you want to talk about dispensationalism and covenant theology, and you want to talk about all of the theories of pantheism, amillennialism, all the different branches of Judaism, Sadducees, the Pharisees, you can talk about those things. There may be truth in some of it, but fundamentally, it always comes down to 2 things. There's right and there's wrong. As John Wycliffe said, right is right and wrong is wrong. And right the day must win. To hesitate is destructive. And to deny it is sin. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but as life went on with him, and I believe this to be true as you get more mature in the Christian faith, you see the blackness and the whiteness of truth. And the grayness, the gray areas in your own mind get smaller and smaller and smaller, because there is no gray area with the maker of heaven and earth. He doesn't wonder about anything. He knows everything. And he knows the simplicity of following him or following Mammon. You only have 2 choices. There's another example. Jesus Christ said you only have 2 choices. So to say there are 7 forms of government in the Bible, you may be able to observe just the different labels, but they're all the same. Griffin, G. Edward Griffin, wrote so much about communism, and he wrote a lot about the Federal Reserve Bank. And again, Dan, are you there? Dan?
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, Dan, if there's a noise that can be muted, if you'd mute it, if you know how.
Yes, *6 to get into the queue if you have more questions.
I hear banging and thrashing, but just to go on, there are many labels, and it is also, watch this is indispensable. There are many labels of evil, and that's intended to confuse. So to start acknowledging all the labels of evil and never come back and say, well, it's all the same thing. They're all the same animal dressed up in different clothing and different trappings. That's all it is. All false religion, law, and government is the same. All of it. It has the same foundation, and when you get to looking at it real close, you discover it has even the same features. They're just disguised differently. For instance, all false religion has a claimed revelation from God outside the Bible. You can go to Rome. What's the authority with Rome? Well, everything, all tradition, trumps the Bible. What the Pope says trumps the Bible. You go to Mormonism, what have you got? Well, you got a book that if there's a confusion, that book dominates, called the Book of Mormon. You go to Islam, you've got the same thing. Oh, they believe some of the Old Testament stories. They refer to them. Abraham is their father and all the things. But then they pervert it with their own writings to say this is really authoritative. The same thing is true with Judaism. The holy book to Judaism is not the Old Testament. They use the scrolls of the Old Testament to kiss them, to venerate them. They don't have a clue what's in them, don't even care in a lot of cases. I shouldn't say in every case. If they can use it to their advantage, they will, but the Talmud is the trumping force, and the Talmud says that, and those that follow Judaism, the rabbis will tell you, if there's a dispute about what the Bible says and what the Talmud says, the Talmud must take precedence. And that's true with all false religion. It doesn't make any difference where you go. But see, it always comes back to the same fundamental principle. We've got extra biblical revelation. We've got a present-day prophet. We have people that stand up in church and tell us what God said. The charismatic churches do that. The Pentecostal churches do that. It all comes back to the same thing, and it distracts from God's revelation. And God says there are only 2 volumes, but all false religion adds more. So in every case, to start by telling people, as he has done, that there are 7 forms of government. By the way, I believe Dr. Noble, David Noble, says the same thing, and it makes me wonder if he got that particular presentation from David Noble. David Noble has studied the Bible, has studied philosophy. He's a smart man. He's got a lot of good things to say. I've read his books. I've listened to him. I've spoken with him personally. Nice fellow. But I don't know that it's best to approach, as he does and as David Barton does, to approach teaching by saying there are 7 forms of government. No, you approach teaching by first establishing, and everybody needs to remember this constantly, there are only 2 forms. And when you talk about other labels, of which there are thousands of religion, law, and government, after you look at it, you'll say, wait a minute, I see that fits back in one of these 2 forms. It's either it's right or it's wrong. And when you say forms, that's probably not the best word I should use. I should say kinds. There are 2 kinds of religion, law, and government. Only 2. And you're either one or the other. The true one is always the same. The other ones takes on different forms and labels. Well, Dan, if you're there, or Eric, are you there? Well, Dan, are you there?
Yeah, that covers it.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Eric. I'm glad you brought that up. Well, let's get to business here real quick. I wanted to tell folk, we've got some folk on the... Well, my shirt's unbuttoned and my glasses are lost. Oh, here they are.
Dan, will you mute me out, please?
Yes. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Oh, Dan and I had been discussing, for those of you that are here, I can't speak to the ones that aren't here, but I'll try to post this on the internet when we come to a decision. I'd suggested to Dan that we do this session on Sunday mornings. The reason we didn't do it on Sunday mornings originally was because I didn't want to interfere with anybody going to church. Those that do go to church have told me that the time that I set for this would work for them. In other words, I would set the time for Sunday morning for this presentation, set it for 7 o'clock West Coast time, which is 10 o'clock East Coast time, 8 o'clock Rocky Mountain time, 9 o'clock Central. And we would do this presentation, our movement through the Gospel of John, at that time. Now, if that interferes with you in any way, I want to know about it. And if you could get in the queue now and tell me, or if you can message Dan and I now, please tell me. If I don't hear anything from anybody, I'll probably go ahead and try to do this presentation on Sunday morning, 7 o'clock West Coast time, which is 10 o'clock East Coast time. Those that I've talked to have said that that'll work for them, and even if they go to church, it'll work for them because the time they go to church. I have something just came up here. I have one pending question, Dan. So, is that audio that I can listen to?
It's in the queue. Let me go ahead. 616. What's your first name?
Yeah, this is Michigan, Paul.
Okay, Paul. Go ahead.
This is Paul.
I can't hear you very good, but anyway. Brent, I just sent you an email. John Darash of NLA, he has a Bible study 11 o'clock Sunday morning. I've been on that, but as I said in my email to you, if push comes to shove, I'd just soon be on your class, so I don't expect you to change just for me.
Well, how long is John's class? It's 11.
From 1 o'clock till, from 11 till 1.
Okay, now you're Central. Are you Central or Eastern?
I'm Eastern, Michigan.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I get it. I'm thinking now where you are geographically. Okay, so you're willing to try it, though?
Yeah, like I say, I'd just soon be on your class than John's. But
and the other thing we're trying to do also is, if you can't come to it, we think we might have it figured out that we're going to get these on YouTube. And if that's the case, that would help too, and then it wouldn't interfere. It's nice to do things live, I suppose, but if you can't, you can do it later. Well, at any rate, I appreciate that. Anybody else have a comment, please get in and let me know, either by message.
Well,
go ahead, Paul.
I think I would bet that John's are recorded too.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure they are, but I'm not sure. But anyway, so I would like to be on yours live, and I'll get John here.
Well, either way, then that would work. I see what you're saying, and
right.
John's ahead of me on technology. I think he's got some of these things figured out. I'm just trying to figure it out. But does anyone else have an objection or a conflict? They can't do it on Sunday morning. I do want to know. Email me at commonlawyer.com. Go to commonlawyer.com and go to the contact page. And like Paul has done, he's emailed me. You can do that. I like it when you do that. And then I know what you're thinking, and it helps me quite a bit.
What time was John's class, Brent? Was it 11 Eastern?
11, yes.
So that wouldn't, I guess that'd be the same then. Okay.
Now we have some people from Rocky Mountain. I'm looking at some of the numbers. I don't know everybody, but that should be at Rocky Mountain would be at 8 o'clock.
That'd be Mountain, yeah.
Okay. And then we have, I'm going to write these down so I can look at these area codes, and I want to, let's see, 413. Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate your comments. It helps me a lot. I need that. So let me know if there does come a conflict. In the meantime, I suppose we can meet then Sunday morning and see how that goes. Will that work for everybody? Last call. Let me know. If it'll work for everybody, we'll stop today and try to do it then on Sunday morning.
Let me unmute everybody and then we'll.
Okay.
Okay, everybody's mic should be open from this end. Any comments for Brent? I'm going to shut the recording off too, Brent.